Hello, I'm Supervisor Anne Marie Graham-Hudak, and welcome to the Supervisor Summary, where we highlight items of interest from the most recent Board of Trustees meeting and other items of interest. It was a very large and interesting agenda, but first up, I would like to address the recent flooding and tornado event that hit Canton a couple weeks ago. According to the National Weather Service, on August 24, 2023, thunderstorms producing torrential rainfall led to a flash flooding in the Detroit metro area early Thursday morning of August 24th. Western Wayne County into Monroe County was hardest hit, resulting in widespread residential flooding, road closures, and stranded vehicles. Most notable was the closure of Dingle Drive at Detroit Metro Airport, which cut off access to the McNamara Terminal for several hours. A lengthy closure of I-94 at 275 was also reported. Numerous rainfall totals in the 3 to 5 inch range in Canton were reported mostly in the 6-hour period from 6 a.m. The highest total was 7.36 inches from a station in Belleville, a 24-hour total, nearly all of which fell during this event. In Canton, we saw totals of 4 to 5 inches. Our public safety dispatch received over 1,200 calls in the 12 hours beginning at 7 a.m. The public safety teams pulled people out of their cars in the water, assisted residents at their homes, and directed people to safety over the following days. Our DPW team received over 300 calls from residents calling about flooding, and they visited over 150 residents whose basements were flooding. Facilities was busy with flood mitigation at our township facilities and some businesses. Parks assisted DPW and public safety by blocking roads with trucks and directing residents. Our employees who were able to make it to the building assisted with hundreds of calls, directing them to public safety and DPW. Our emergency manager called in the Michigan State Police and the county FEMA manager to assess the image and determine the state of emergency. Our cable crews were out filming damage also to help us bring these assessments to the Michigan State Police. That evening, we flew over the township with the Michigan State Police and surveyed the damage. At 9 p.m., we were sitting in my office filing for the state of emergency so we could make sure our community would be eligible for emergency funds if needed. This as we watched the next storm coming our way. The National Weather Service then reported on the same day there were most tornadoes in a single day during the month of August in Michigan. 6 tornadoes impacted southeast Michigan with 7 tornadoes statewide. Rapidly developing thunderstorms began to pop up over central and southwest lower Michigan by the early evening hours of August 24th, with the exceptional moisture and instability in place over southern lower Michigan. The storms quickly grew upscale and became severe, leading to a west-east line of severe thunderstorms which dropped south through southeast Michigan during the evening hours. Strong winds in the mid-levels allowed for damaging winds to be the primary hazard, with areas of southeast Michigan seeing 60-80 miles an hour winds gusts, which will lead to extensive tree damage and power outages. At the peak, close to 500,000 customers lost power in southern lower Michigan. An EF0 tornado touched down in Canton, as we all know, at 10:30 that night, and much of Canton and the region were out of power. Our Heritage Park experienced trees knocked down, the splash pad sails being twisted, and then our 3 picnic pavilions completely destroyed, before moving into neighborhoods and throwing more trees around, including a house on Sheldon north of Michigan Avenue, having a tree thrown through the roof. Our teams again sprang into action, assisting residents in the community. We joined the county through Debbie Dingle and Assad Turfy, who had visited other damaged regions downriver and even next door to us, Romulus and Van Buren Township, in filing for emergency status. The filing was completed on September 6th, and we await the state's answer to our state of emergency request. More to come for our residents very soon on the emergency management. But on a better note, first up, at the September 12th meeting, the board heard a presentation on Cherry Hill Village programming. There are a lot of exciting events and programs on the horizon, and I encourage you to watch the entire presentation on the meeting recording. The board then held a public hearing on proposed millage rates. The Township Board is required to hold a public hearing on the proposed December 1st, 2023 millage rates, which must be certified to Wayne County by September 30th. The millage rates requested are required to balance the 2024 budget. The combined millage rates of 12.2909 mills for the December 1st, 2023 levy is the same as 2023 millage rates. The proposed millage rates of 1.476 for general operations is 2.1237 mills below the maximum the township could levy without a vote of the citizens. The fire and police funds are supported almost entirely by the special assessment millages that were approved by voters in 1975 and 1977. The voters authorized the township to levy the necessary funds of $3.748 mills for fire and $5.676 mills for police to provide for the operation of the two departments. On August 7, 2018, the voters approved ballot language authorizing the township to levy $1.45 mills for the road millage program. Due to the Headley Amendment, this millage has been reduced over the past few years to $1.3909, which is the same as it was for the 2022 tax levy. And you can see that in the road construction that we have all over the township. Next, the board considered a site plan approval for Motor City Electric Utilities. The plan proposed creating outdoor storage areas for materials, expanding the parking lot, constructing the detention basin, and other changes related to landscaping, loading, lighting, and fencing. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the changes at their January 11th meeting subject to those conditions. Those conditions have been met and the board approved the site plan. The board then approved an increase to an existing purchase order for asphalt. Due to grade issues on the Lily Road resurfacing project, additional work was necessary to complete it. As work progressed on Lily Road, it was determined that to maintain the widened shoulder, significant grade modifications and bank stabilization would be needed for a length of about 350 feet along the roadway. Instead of undertaking that costly and significant amount of work, it was decided to install a standard curb and gutter along this section with a standard sidewalk. Next, the board approved the municipal credit funding agreement with Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation, or SMART. The township submitted its annual municipal credit program application with SMART to provide funding for the Canton Mobility Transportation Program. SMART has notified the township that it is eligible for $92,340 under the program from July 23 to June 24. These funds will be transferred to the Nankin Transit Commission to manage the Canton Mobility Transportation Program, which provides curb-to-curb transportation service for Canton senior residents 55 years of age and older, as well as individuals with disabilities. The program utilizes 15 wheelchair access connector buses to facilitate these services. The service area includes Canton, Westland, Wayne, Inkster, and Garden City. The board then considered approval for golf course products and pump repair at the Pheasant Run. The recent flooding due to the storms created a need for additional nutrients and products to manage turf conditions for the remainder of the season, and also caused damage to a pump station. In accordance with the emergency purchasing policy, the board approved the budget amendments to make these emergency purchases and repairs. On the last supervisor summary, I talked about the opioid settlement. At this last meeting, the police department requested a new non-union classified position of an embedded police clinician be created and filled. The position is to be funded by using the opioid settlement funds. While the police department currently contracts with an outside agency to provide these services, the department is ready to move to a direct hire, employed by the township. The board agrees and approved the position. Next, the board approved a memo of understanding with GrowthWorks for the expansion of Canton's youth diversion program. In 2019, the police department and GrowthWorks started a diversion service for juveniles who commit offenses in Canton. The program has been free for the youth, but a critical qualifier of the grant funding is that the participant must be a resident of Wayne County. In 1 year, 14 juveniles who would have otherwise qualified for the program were denied due to their out-county resident status. GrowthWorks estimates it costs approximately $2,000 per juvenile participant. Federal regulations permit for the community maximum of $25,000 annually in forfeiture funds to be expensed towards community-based nonprofit organizations whose stated missions are supported of and consistent with a law enforcement effort, policy, and/or initiative. Therefore, the board approved the use of $25,000 in drug forfeiture funds to expand this program with GrowthWorks. The board then approved the creation and filing of a public safety IT systems coordinator position. This position will have technical and administrative responsibilities for the police and fire departments, including the emergency dispatch center. The position assumes critical responsibility overseeing the substantially valued public safety IT system resources, ensuring seamless functionality for first responders and the community they serve. As I said, it was a very large agenda, and these were just some of the highlights of September 12th meeting. If you would like to find out about other items not covered here, you can always watch the full board meeting on the Canton Community Television channel on YouTube. Thank you for watching.